Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, so today's explainer is tackling a massive paradox. You know those seemingly perfect, hyper-accommodating guys? The ones who will literally bend over backwards to avoid conflict and just want to keep everyone happy? Well, why is it that those exact same guys are so often secretly miserable or completely full of resentment? Today, we are unpacking the psychology behind exactly why that happens.
And to do this, we're summarizing the core concepts from Dr. Robert A. Glover's incredibly eye-opening book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Dr. Glover is a psychotherapist, and over the years, he started noticing this really distinct pattern in his practice, these incredibly frustrated, resentful, nice guys. Take one of his patients, Jason, for example. Jason's a chiropractor who came in saying his life was perfect, right? Except he felt totally unappreciated by his wife. See, Jason bent over backwards doing everything right. He cooked, he cleaned, he got the baby ready, all while completely swallowing his own feelings just to avoid rocking the boat. But instead of gratitude, he was met with criticism and, well, zero intimacy. Like so many others, Jason was doing everything right on paper, but getting absolutely nowhere.
So let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. We're going to cover the nice guy myth, the roots of the syndrome, the hidden dark side, reclaiming your personal power, and finally, the integrated male. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The nice guy myth. I mean, really, what could possibly be wrong with being nice?
We live in a society that constantly celebrates the sensitive, new age guy, right? We're told that being generous, peaceful, and super accommodating is essentially a guaranteed ticket to a smooth, happy life. But I want to ask you directly, what's actually wrong with being a nice guy? Why is it that men who avoid conflict like the plague and try so incredibly hard to please everyone usually end up feeling completely powerless?
Well, the answer really lies in how Dr. Glover defines the nice guy syndrome. And here's the twist. It's not actually about genuine niceness at all. It's actually a deeply flawed core belief system. It's a paradigm, a mental map, if you will, that basically says, okay, if I hide my flaws and become exactly what I think others want me to be, then I'll be loved, my needs will be met, and I'll have a completely problem-free life. It's essentially an exhausting, lifelong performance that's totally fueled by the desperate need for external validation.
Section 2. Roots of the syndrome. Where does all this behavior actually come from?
Because, no one is born walking on eggshells. So let's look at the childhood origins first. When we're infants, we are totally helpless, which means our single greatest fear is abandonment. And since kids are naturally ego-centered, if a parent is suddenly unavailable or angry or demanding, the child instinctively assumes, oh, I must be the cause of this. This leads to what Dr. Glover calls toxic shame. It's this deeply internalized belief that you are inherently bad or defective. So to survive and to hide this perceived badness, the little boy develops a survival mechanism. He basically decides he's just going to be a good boy who never, ever causes a moment's trouble.
But it's not just about individual childhoods. There's a huge sociological piece to this puzzle, too. Dr. Glover maps out a framework tracking some major 20th century shifts. Think about it. In the early 1900s, during the agrarian era, boys worked side by side with their fathers out in the fields. But then, post-World War II, the industrial shift happens. Fathers are suddenly commuting to factories and offices. So boys were increasingly raised by mothers at home and taught predominantly by female teachers at school. The result? A whole generation of boys became disconnected from male role models, leaving them to be defined largely by women and, crucially, entirely dependent on their approval. Section 3. The hidden dark side. Let's look at the maladaptive behaviors of nice guys.
So when that whole nice guy paradigm inevitably fails to deliver this magical problem-free life, things get messy. The jarring reality is that nice guys are actually, well, fundamentally dishonest. Why? Because they're terrified of conflict, so they constantly hide their mistakes. They become secretive, trying to perfectly manage everyone's perception of them, which, if you think about it, is incredibly manipulative and controlling. And because they're constantly repressing their natural anger and their own actual needs, it all just builds up like a pressure cooker. Eventually, it leaks out as passive-aggressive behavior or even sudden, totally unexpected rage attacks.
Let's say someone points out a mistake. Instantly, the nice guy's toxic shame is triggered. To handle this sheer panic, they rely on what Dr. Glover calls the DEAR response. D-E-E-R. Defend, explain, excuse, and rationalize. Instead of just owning it and simply apologizing for the mistake, they completely freak out. They throw up this massive wall of excuses just to distract the other person from seeing their perceived inner badness.
And sadly, this dynamic totally poisons how they show affection. We really have to clearly separate caretaking from genuine caring. Caretaking is what nice guys do. It comes from this place of inner emptiness. And here's the kicker. It always has unconscious strings attached. It is literally giving to get. Genuine caring, on the other hand, that comes from a place of abundance. It has absolutely zero strings attached. And this brings us to a huge concept, the covert contract. This is the primary, deeply flawed way nice guys interact with the whole world. A covert contract is basically an unspoken, unconscious agreement that goes like this. Okay, I will do X for you, so you absolutely must do Y for me. But since the nice guy never actually verbalizes what he wants, the other person never fulfills the contract. And you can guess what happens next. Toxic scorekeeping, massive frustration, and the nice guy playing the ultimate victim.
Section 4, Reclaiming Your Personal Power. How do we break free from this victim mentality?
So how do we actually fix this? The core steps to reclaiming power involve surrendering to reality, expressing your true feelings, facing your fears, and, this is a big one, setting boundaries. Dr. Glover uses this absolutely brilliant visual in his group therapy sessions called the shoestring boundary exercise. He literally lays a shoestring on the ground and tells a nice guy to stand right behind it. Then Dr. Glover starts pushing the man backwards and tells him, say stop the second you feel uncomfortable. Time and time again, the nice guy will literally let himself be pushed several steps back, sometimes all the way to the back wall, before he finally speaks up. It's a perfect physical illustration of how they constantly backpedal and try to keep the peace, instead of just simply saying no.
To stop that endless backpedaling, you have to embrace a concept that absolutely terrifies most nice guys, becoming truly selfish. Now wait, in this context, that doesn't mean becoming a raging narcissist. It simply means acknowledging that mature adults make their own needs a priority. Think about it. No one was put on this earth to meet your needs for you. By putting yourself first, you immediately stop manipulating everyone around you through self-sacrifice and those toxic covert contracts. And a massive part of this recovery is reclaiming masculine energy. Dr. Glover strongly emphasizes how crucial it is for men to build deep, non-sexual friendships with other men. Why is this so important? Because it completely short-circuits the cycle of constantly seeking women's approval to define their own self-worth. Getting physically strong and finding healthy male role models helps them finally embrace the power, assertiveness, and passion that they've been repressing for years, just out of the fear of looking like bad guys.
Section 5, The Integrated Male. This is the ultimate goal of recovery.
Now let's make something crystal clear here. The opposite of a nice guy is not a jerk. Becoming a jerk is literally just swinging the pendulum to the other toxic extreme. The true goal here is integration. Let's compare the two mindsets. The nice guy script says, I am flawed, so I must hide my mistakes to get love. But the integrated male paradigm? That one says, I am perfectly imperfect, and I accept myself entirely, warts, mistakes, and all. An integrated male has a rock-solid sense of self. He doesn't need external validation to know his own worth. He operates with high integrity, which means he does what's actually right, not just what's expedient or what avoids an argument. He handles conflict directly, he sets clear boundaries, and he provides really solid, grounded leadership for both himself and his relationships. I absolutely love this closing quote from Dr. Glover. He says, with this discovery of your true self comes unlimited freedom. Freedom to be just who you are. Freedom to stop seeking approval. Freedom to start getting what you want. It is just such a powerful reminder of the incredible energy and peace that is waiting for you on the other side of all that toxic shame. Which leaves us with one final provocative question to think about today. Are you really ready to accept yourself, warts and all? Look, dropping the exhausting nice guy act might feel completely terrifying at first, but it is literally the master key to unlocking genuine intimacy, passion, and true personal power. So take a look in the mirror. Where might you be running covert contracts in your own life today? Thanks for joining me on this Explainer Focused Learners. Stay curious and keep learning.